very obvious things wrong in the garden. Oh my goodness, look at all the tomatoes in here. So, do we know what this is? Could any of you tell me what's going on with my tomatoes? If you have any advice, I am all ears. I'm open to learning. Good morning, friends. Welcome back to Simply a Breeze. My name is Bree. If you are new here, it is early in the morning. It's like 6:30, but I wanted to get out here and do a garden tour. 1, before people got up and moving around. 2, before the day got too hot because it's just been super hot here in Colorado. 3, we need to get out here and do this August garden tour because Reed and I have been gone for a week and there are lots of changes in the garden. There are also some very obvious things wrong in the garden, and I'm going to need your help in identifying how to fix it and if it's fixable, because it's going to affect whether or not I need to supplement later on. So let's do this garden tour. I am really happy with a lot of things, so it's not all bad, and we also have some very exciting news, so stick around because I am very excited about this. But let's go ahead and start in the front, and we will work our way to the back. We'll do some harvesting, and I'm going to share my thoughts along the way about what's going on, how I plan on solving some of these issues, and if I think they're solvable. So let's go. So over here, this bed in our walkway, this is looking pretty good. That Cosmo has just looked fabulous. Okay, it's been really happy here. This parsley is looking really good. We are actually going to go ahead and harvest some of this parsley. I'm going to need it for a recipe. Reed, before we left on vacation, was kind enough to plant all these beans for me so they weren't sitting in the seedling trays. This nasturtium is hanging on. I think he's kind of wearing thin and getting a little old, but this nasturtium, these beans, they're looking fabulous. This is about the best the beans have looked all year. We definitely need to harvest some basil. The basil is looking fabulous. It's also starting to flower. I don't know if you can see that. It wants to put on some flowers and we want to stop it. So we're going to go ahead and harvest a ton of basil from here. The tomatoes are wild, and okay, so the tomatoes are great, but the tomatoes are also not so great. And I'll show you here in a minute. This calendula is looking pretty good. That calendula is looking pretty good too, actually. And then this basil we'll harvest a little bit. At this point, it's kind of just being shaded out. But we've got tomatoes. Look at how beautiful these are. I think these are San Marzano tomatoes. And then, oh, look at that beautiful red tomato in there. Okay. Our straw flowers are doing the best they've ever done. I've never had this much success with straw flowers before, and it's really making my heart happy. So yeah, we've got, oh, look at those tomatoes up in there. Can you see those? So we will be harvesting some tomatoes. I'm going to pull these off, let them continue to ripen in the house. That way the plant can put more energy into new fruit and also ripening the fruit that's on the vine that isn't turning red yet. So now we are starting, we're starting some sad news. Here's our basil. And then we do have a jalapeno pepper here. You can see him. He's looking pretty good. Okay, so here's the sad news, friends. And it's got to be a nutrient deficiency or it was overwatering. I am suffering terribly from blossom end rot. Like, look at all of this. These ones aren't even bad. Like, that one doesn't look great. But if we come over here, look at how terrible. Look at how absolutely awful that is, friends. Like, look, that one looks just all rotten. And that one, and this is crushing. And this is right on our driveway. So when we got home, like, I could see it immediately. And I was just absolutely devastated because it's got to be a deficiency of some sort. Like, look at that guy. Look at him right there. Like, that just looks terrible. Like, I can't get you to focus. Hang on. Let's get you to focus. Come on, focus. Oh, goodness. This really is not doing what I wanted to. Look at how terrible that is, friends. Like, so I'm hoping we can recover from this. Like, I had neighbors watching out for the garden, and like, they picked these tomatoes and they just look awful. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pick these. So let's go ahead and pick off all of these bad tomatoes real quick. and then we'll move on to the rest of the garden. So this is not my first year having blossom end rot in the garden. It is incredibly frustrating. However, it has been a reality with any paste tomato I've tried to grow the last couple of years. But because I've really been trying to increase my tomato yields, this is the worst it's ever been. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is pull off all of the damaged, bad tomatoes here. And then I'm just going to throw them back onto the soil. The bugs will help break them down. It'll go back into the soil, whatever nutrients is in the tomato. And then hopefully that tells the plant, okay, that tomato's gone. Let's set more flowers and we can set more fruit. Especially this bed in the front, these are all vining tomatoes. So they will keep producing until either the first frost or until they get disease. Now I'm going to go ahead and harvest some of the ripe tomatoes that are not damaged or have very minimal damage. And honestly, I wasn't expecting to have a tomato harvest this go round or this garden tour. I was very pleasantly surprised. And so that did make my heart very happy. And it did help distract me from the fact that we do have some serious blossom end rot going on in the garden. So what causes blossom end rot? From the research that I've done, it could be a cause from overwatering, inconsistent watering, and lack of nutrients, especially calcium, in the soil. So what I have decided to do is go ahead and get a supplement fertilizer called Rot Stop. And what it does is you spray it directly on the leaves of all of the tomato plants and you saturate them really, really well. And it helps the plants quickly absorb the calcium into the plant. And so it immediately supplies the plant with nutrients. The reason I'm not doing a calcium supplement into the soil is because it's not as readily bioavailable for the plant to take up, and it will take longer for the plant to benefit from that calcium. I will go ahead and let you know if this is successful or not. So this parsley has been growing strong since I planted it at the beginning of the year and started it. I finally decided it's time to go ahead and harvest it. It really hasn't bolted. It does have a little sun damage if you look closely, but I can go ahead and pick those leaves out. And what I'm going to do is I am making a cowboy caviar, and that recipe called for some fresh parsley, or no, that's not the right recipe. I'm making a different recipe. It calls for fresh parsley. And so I figured, you know what? I grew this parsley. I might as well use it in my cooking. And when a recipe calls for fresh parsley, I don't need to buy it anymore. This is also our third harvest of basil this year. Our basil is doing fabulous. Well, the basil that's not being suffocated by the plants, because I definitely overplanted. So next year, maybe, I'm not going to hold my breath. I learned from my mistakes and I don't quite overcrowd everything, because I would have liked the basil to thrive just a little bit more, in the sense that not all of the basil plants did well simply because of where I put them, and they got overcrowded and they never saw sun. But our basil harvest has been pretty great. Going forward, I will show you how I am going to preserve a lot of this food. So the tomatoes that I harvested, they were not fully ripe, so they're going to finish ripening on my counter. I will show you how we preserve those tomatoes, how we go ahead and start preserving this parsley and basil going forward, because it is that time of year for us to start food preservation projects on a much larger scale. So we have a little bit of a harvest going on, and we just have looked at this front bed. So that actually feels really, really good given the tomato situation. But now I'm going to show you a really sensitive point for me at this point in the garden, and I'm kind of just over it. So if you have been with me for a little bit, you will know, but if you haven't been here, let me tell you, the bean struggle for me this year has been real. We have had so many issues getting beans to germinate, grow, and stay alive. So if I'm honest, I don't even know if we're going to get a bean harvest this year. I don't even know if there's going to be any beans to harvest. So I showed you the beans here. Those are looking great, and those are the best beans I've had all year, and it is August 21st, for context, just so you know. Let me show you what I've done to try and get beans to work for us. So I tried direct sowing our beans. However, that just did not work. We suffer from pill bugs, which is a whole other issue I need to figure out. However, Reed and I both agreed, Reed is my husband, Reed and I both agreed maybe we try starting beans in seed cells so that way there are no bugs. We've been gone for a week and a half and we've had somebody watering for us. Nothing. Absolutely nothing germinated here. That is, what is this? These are the blue leg bush beans. Like, that's just devastating. Then we have these beans. So if you see the empty cells, those are actually the beans over there that Reed planted for me, because I didn't want, those did germinate and they did grow leaves, and I didn't want them sitting in the seed cells the whole time we were gone, so Reed planted them. However, if you look, literally only 3 more beans germinated. That's it. And for further context, this is my second attempt at beans. Okay, or second attempt at beans in the seed trays. This is technically my 3rd or 4th attempt at starting beans from seed this year. Like, it's been really, really tough. And at this point, I'm kind of ready to call it done. We can go ahead and start other things, like for cool weather crops. It is starting to get a little bit cooler at night, which is wonderful. So I'm going to go ahead and get us some lettuce started and some carrots started. And there's a couple other things I could probably start if I wanted to, so I'll look into that. But I'm ready to call it on attempting to grow beans this year. Oh, and cilantro. We can start some cilantro because I would like some more. But the beans, we're done with the beans. I can't. I don't have the energy for it. I have tried planting them far too many times for them to fail on me this year. So now let's move on to a great success. These kale plants. Kale has always done fabulous for me. These kale plants look so good. I actually do need to harvest them. I don't have time to process them, and I don't have the fridge storage, so we're just going to let them sit a little while longer. And once I'm ready, I'll come out, we'll harvest, and I just like to freeze dry it. I will go ahead and harvest some of this parsley, like I harvested parsley earlier, because that will be necessary. I had some flowers in here, but they're kind of being shaded out at this point and they're not going to want to grow. So, but that's okay. We can go ahead and we can get this parsley harvested. All right, friends, so let's take a look at this bed real quick. So all of our lettuces were here. Let's see. So all of our lettuce was here. I am still waiting on some of these radishes to dry out, and I can pluck them. And then we've got dinosaur kale that is being just suffocated by the drying out radish seeds. Look at these. Oh no, look at these straw flowers. Look at how stunning they are. They're just so beautiful. And then we got more straw flowers right there. And then these beans. These beans are doing okay. These are a bush bean variety, so I'm really happy about them. We've got some gorgeous zinnias just chugging away. I should probably deadhead that one. The marigolds are thriving per usual. They tend to do pretty well. But now let's move on to my greatest success, I want to say, so far this garden season. This GreenStalk of peppers is probably my new favorite way to grow peppers in my garden. My space is limited and I absolutely love this thing. We have come back. We definitely have peppers that are like ripening. So if you watched my pepper video, you know that peppers a lot of them will turn red. And we do have a lot that are actually turning red. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start harvesting those. Our bell peppers are looking really good. I do have some that are like being eaten alive over here. Like that one doesn't look super great. And then, but like we've got some pepperoncinis and we have some shishito peppers that are all just thriving. So we will be getting a pepper harvest today, and I'm really, really excited about it. We also have a cucumber. There's a little pickling cucumber. These haven't done super great. They're looking pretty sad, if I'm honest. We've got another little baby cuke growing here. So, and then we'll move over here. So these beans, like, we planted a bunch of beans all along here, and we have one. That one looks like it's dying right there. I don't know if you can tell. Like, I don't know what's going on with that. But we got a bean plant here. We had 2 bean plants here, and they died. And then we've got these bean plants that are actually doing something decent. So they are putting on some beautiful flowers. Look at those. Like, that's just stunning. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, we get a little bit of a bean harvest. We still will not be able to put up any beans this year, though, and that's such a bummer. Wow. I underestimated how many peppers were actually ready on the GreenStalk, and that makes me super happy. Let me go ahead and pick this cucumber real quick. It's just an itty bitty cucumber, but these are perfect for pickling because they hold their crunch, I have learned. Right, so we are now moving on to the other tomatoes, and these are a mixture of great, not great. So let me turn you around, let me take you in. We got grasshoppers everywhere. It is what it is. The flowers over here are looking fabulous. Let me see if I can get you in. So the flowers, they're starting to peter out, and they're finishing on up. But the tomatoes, they're just getting fired up, and I'm really hoping we can recover from this setback of all of this blossom end rot, friends, because it's heartbreaking. All this hard work just for like us to have to waste it due to blossom end rot. So I have very briefly walked the garden since we've been back. However, I have really not looked, but oh my goodness, we have so many tomatoes. Oh, look at all of those tomatoes in there. You see all that red? Oh, we have so many tomatoes to harvest today. That makes me excited. Okay, I'm not as bummed. I thought this whole thing was just going to be super depressing. We do have some tomatoes that are struggling. Like, I don't know what's going on with that one right here, but like something got to this guy. Yeah, like something tried eating it or whatever. Something tried eating it. So we'll just let that compost. I'm letting all of these just compost in place. It'll add, hopefully, whatever nutrients it does have back to the soil. But if we get under and look at the oh my goodness, look at all the tomatoes in here. Oh, this is gonna be great. Oh, this tomato harvest is gonna be fabulous. We'll harvest a little bit of basil. There's not much left. We do need to go to the other side and look at that lemon basil. But oh, friends, this is great. We've got some that are suffering from blossom end rot. It's not terrible yet. I'm hoping I can really nip this in the bud before it gets too terrible. The San Marzanos and the Amish paste tomatoes look like they're taking the brunt of it right now, which I'm okay with. But again, I would really like them to not. You know, that'd be fantastic if they wouldn't. All right, so let's harvest some of these tomatoes because they look really great. Also, our sugar rush peach peppers. Ooh, some of them are starting to peach up just a little bit, which is great. That's good. Yep. Let's get these pushed out a little bit more. And then I have another sugar rush peach pepper on the other side of the bed over there. We'll make our way over there.
So with my research into Blossomandra, I also discovered that paste tomatoes specifically are the type of tomato that are most susceptible to Blossomandra, which has definitely been my finding, with the exception I grew yellow pear cherry tomatoes my first year growing tomatoes, and those also contracted blossom end rot, but the majority of my tomatoes have been a paste variety. So these are Romas and San Marzanos that have contracted blossom end rot. So I don't want to discourage you at all from growing a paste tomato, but you may want to consider testing your soil to make sure you have enough nutrients for them going forward so you can avoid this, or have something like the Rot Stop on hand to help you out. What I'm thinking I'm going to do before we start gardening next year is I am actually going to go ahead and send out some soil samples to get our soil tested to truly see what we're nutrient deficient in, because I actually tried to do a really good job of providing a lot of nitrogen, but too much nitrogen can also be incredibly damaging. So maybe that's part of the problem, is I have an imbalance in the ratio of nutrients that's available in my soil. So a good soil test may be the solution. These beds are also going on 3-4 years old, so it's probably time the nutrient levels be tested so we can see how we can balance it all out as well.
So, do we know what this is? Could any of you tell me what's going on with my tomatoes? That's weird. Hi, Sweet Pea. How are you? Yeah? Are you having a good day? Would you like breakfast? I'm watching my neighbor's cat for her. She's an outdoor cat, but she does like to go inside every now and then. She's very vocal, if you can hear. She's also incredibly affectionate. Hi, Sweet Pea. Hi, I know. Hi, Sweet Pea. Yeah, is it time for breakfast? Is this my alarm? Yeah. Okay. You just want to chill? Or do you want to go eat? I can feed you. That's fine. Let's go eat. So this Sugar Rush peach pepper plant is pretty happy, but that one's starting to peach. We've got a couple in here that are starting to peach on up, and it looks fabulous. But we picked most of the tomatoes that were ready. I tried to throw off as many of the blossom end rots that I could see and reach in the moment. Hopefully that forces the plant to put on more flowers, and maybe we can get another flush of tomatoes. There are still tons of green. Sorry, there was a plane. There are still tons of green tomatoes that don't have blossom end rot, so we are just waiting on those to ripen up. I honestly did not expect to have such a great harvest already on our tomatoes, so that is exciting. Next is our potatoes. They are hanging in there. I'm trying to decide if they're like naturally dying off or not, if I should stop watering them. We'll give them a little longer to see how they do. Our pumpkin plant, friends, there's a baby pumpkin on here. Look at that. Will we get a pumpkin this year though? I don't know. It is August 21st and that just happened. So I don't have high hopes that we're gonna get a baby pumpkin. We've got a zucchini plant that has also just really struggled. It looks beautiful-ish now. However, I don't know if we're gonna get anything from these two plants, but they look the healthiest they've looked all year. So let's move on to the backyard and we will see what's growing back there, and I will let you know some exciting news. All right, friends, so we just have the backyard left to do. We've got this bed over here behind me, that's all the tomatoes. And then we have this bed over here with some tomatoes, some peppers, failing kohlrabi, all of it. I figured I would go ahead and give you the update and let you know that food is not the only thing we are growing in our yard this year. I am happy to announce that Reed and I are expecting our first child. We are having a little girl, and little girl will be arriving at the beginning of 2026. So we are really excited, but I figured I needed to share with you. It is getting much harder to hide the growing bump. I am 16 weeks pregnant today, so we are super excited. This is going to be a new adventure, and we both just cannot wait. So I figured I'd share with you that we are having our first kid, and we couldn't be more thrilled. So now let's get back into the garden tour and harvest for August. Well, okay, so don't mind our grass. We have not had an opportunity to like get in here for the weeds and everything. That's the reality of working full-time and growing your own food, and we were on vacation, so please bear with me. This blueberry plant has decided it wanted to perk up, and that blueberry plant has now decided it wants to struggle. I don't know quite what's going on here, but we shall see what next year brings, I guess. But these tomatoes look fabulous. They have just exploded. Let's see if we can see any red tomatoes. Ooh, I need to harvest some basil. Ooh, I do see a red tomato in there. Let's see, let's keep looking. We see, there isn't a lot back here. I actually expected there to be more, but I'm guessing that's not the case. Okay, we do have a lot of green tomatoes on here, so it's not gonna be a flop, but it looks like I only have this one tomato right here to pick, and it's not even a big one, but we will take it. Okay, so that is this tomato bed right here. Let's see if there's anything on this other side. Echinacea, that's just looking a little rough. The Rebecca is looking pretty good. We've got spider webs everywhere. Oh my goodness, friends. As I was coming back here, my tripod went through like a spider web with the spider on it. And so as I'm trying to clean off the spider web, I touched the spider. One thing you should know about me, I am terrified of spiders, just absolutely terrified of them. And so that Reed heard me screaming in the backyard for a moment, and he's like, "You okay out there?" It's like, "Yep, just touched a spider. It wasn't my favorite thing." Ugh. Anyways, the Rebecca is looking really good. The Echinacea is looking good. I need to harvest these or cut off these flowers. I don't want the garlic chives spreading anymore, so we do need to chop those. These are exciting though. Our cherry, these are huge. My fox cherry tomatoes, I believe that's what these are, did not get these big last year. So I'm excited to harvest these. They will be enjoyed and loved. I actually thought they were gonna be a bit smaller, but that just really is not proving to be the case, which is fine. That's a-okay with me. Let's see, and then if we work our way around, oh, there we go. So these are the sun gold tomatoes. They turn like a beautiful orange color, and they're delicious. Their flavor is great. Oh, now I just unwrapped this vine. I'm gonna have to put you down and rewrap this. Hang on. Okay, so we got that vine fixed, so it's not resting on the ground. We have lots of cayennes. Oh, and apparently I have San Marzano tomatoes just resting on the ground here. I don't know how we're gonna fix that necessarily. Oh no, I think I just broke that branch, didn't I? No, hopefully not. I need to find a way to support this because I don't want these resting on the ground. Okay, time to solve problem number 2. Okay, so we got these tomatoes strung up so they're off the ground. We are in the cayennes. I have not usually had issues with cayennes. My cayennes do pretty well, so I'm excited about this. I have had some things like eating my cayennes, so I've just been composting them in place. See this one, like if you look at the end, like it's all mangled, so I'll just chuck this back in the garden. Here's another thing. Do you know what's going on with these? I'm not sure like what happened, why they're doing this. It's a little creepy if you ask me, but this is not the first time I've had tomatoes do this. I just don't know why they do it. There are lots of green tomatoes on here, and so that's nice. And these don't look too bad. These don't these aren't showing like significant sign of blossom end rot, which is fabulous. I see 2 more peppers here. Let's grab you. Release, thank you. And I see you. Yeah, look at those. Those look fabulous. So this is our peppers so far. Those are our tomatoes. I do have a couple in my pouch still. Those are our herbs. I do see a cucumber over here that we need to harvest. There he is. Just set him right there. Let's take a look. I don't see any more. This cayenne pepper plant is doing really, really well. This one is being overcrowded, just a smidge. I do see another cucumber. Let's see if we can get him through the trellis here. There we go. So that makes 4 cucumbers total. Let's see, do we see any more? Cucumbers are great at hiding behind leaves. I'm also very much trying not to touch another spider. Once was enough for me. These straw flowers are running their course, but man, look how beautiful they still are. Oh, love them. So this is my neighbor's raspberry plant. We just need to cut it. So another fail, friends, and I think I'm just gonna pull it, honestly, unless you have a suggestion on how to fix it. This kohlrabi is not bulbing. It's just like bushing out, looking like a cabbage. So I think I'm gonna pull it. We're gonna compost it. It'll all go into the garden for next year. It's like completely shaded out basil that I had in here and everything. Plus then I can use this space for produce later on. So maybe I could put carrots here or something. With the bean saga, this is the only bean that I this is not the only bean I planted back here, but it's the only one that made it. Obviously now with all the kohlrabi looking the way it does, it makes sense that this is all that survived. But our harvest is beautiful. Hi, Steely Ann. Yes, hi, sweet pea. You pretty girl, huh? Pretty girl. So we've got 3 kinds of basil in here and parsley. We've got some tomatoes. We've got a bowl of tomatoes. I'm really hoping we get more. Only time will tell though. So we shall see. And I'm very happy with our pepper harvest. That pepper harvest looks fabulous. So that's exciting. So friends, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you found this garden tour interesting because man, I'm gonna say this is probably my toughest year gardening for sure. I'm gonna say this has been my toughest gardening year. I've had more failures this year than I think I've had before. The beans have struggled. My tomatoes are struggling once again. The kohlrabi was a flop. There's just, we've had some struggles and that's okay. We're making it work. We're overcoming. Thankfully, grocery stores are a thing and we are not solely relying on this food to survive. Otherwise, we'd probably be in quite the pickle. But hopefully you found this any sort of informative, and if you have any advice, I am all ears. I'm open to learning. I do think that the rot spot is going to help. I just need to go get it. I haven't had time to stop by the store and grab some, so I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that that is the solution. But we are very excited to also be growing a beautiful little girl, and if you have any questions about that, if there's anything you'd like to know, I will go ahead and ask. Certain things we would like to keep private, but certain things, if you're curious, I may share. I'm just not used to sharing certain personal things of my life, so I will do my best to pick and choose what is okay to share and what things I would prefer to keep private, and I will let you know if that's what I choose to do. But yeah, this garden tour was great. We harvested more than I expected, so thank you for being here. I will see you all next time. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment, and have a great rest of your day, friends, and I will see you next time. Bye.